All right, so today we're going to do a deep dive into some Indian saws and e-commerce. So we've got these fresh financial results from Unicommerce eSolutions Ltd. And this is not going to be like your typical like dry, financial report deep dive. We've got the company's official announcement to the stock exchange, a very slick investor presentation, and of course the detailed reports themselves. And we're talking about order management, inventory, shipping, the whole like e-commerce back end shebang.
Yeah, and I think what makes this particularly fascinating is, Unicommerce is the biggest player in this space in India.
Right.
And they're handling it at just an incredible volume of transactions. We're talking over 931 million annually. So, the insights that we glean from these documents can really offer us some clues about the future of e-commerce and one of the world's fastest growing markets.
Yeah, absolutely. So starting with the company announcement, the board of directors just approved the audited financial results for the quarter ending September 30th, 2024. Now, the announcement itself is pretty standard, but there is something that caught my eye. At the bottom, it's signed in bright blue ink by both the company secretary, Ajinkya Jain, and the auditor, Yogesh Midha. Is that like a financial power move, or is blue ink just, their thing?
While the ink color might be a personal preference, those signatures definitely do carry a lot of weight. Think of auditors like Yogesh as a kind of financial detective. They make sure the numbers are accurate, reliable for investors. And the company secretary ensures that they're playing by all the rules, all the legal and regulatory rules. So their signatures essentially say, we've checked this thoroughly and it's good to go.
Okay, so it's like a seal of approval. Got it. All right, so let's move on then to the investor presentation, which I've got to say is surprisingly engaging. For a financial document, Unicommerce really paints a picture of themselves as kind of the unsung heroes of e-commerce, making sure all the behind-the-scenes stuff runs smoothly, especially after a customer clicks buy now.
And that's a smart play on their part. They're not just providing a service, they're solving a really crucial pain point for businesses that are navigating the complexities of e-commerce. And if they can effectively handle those back-end operations. It allows brands and retailers to focus on what they do best, which is, creating and selling great products.
They even highlight a case study where they helped a footwear brand manage over 1 million live inventory items with like a near perfect fulfillment rate. I mean, that's the kind of efficiency that can really make or break an e-commerce business.
Absolutely, and that ties directly into their revenue model. The presentation really emphasizes recurring revenue from subscriptions, which means that they have a stable income stream and really predictable growth potential, which is music to the ears of any investor, but it also speaks to their ability to consistently deliver value to their clients, keep them coming back for more.
Right. And they're not just content with the status quo. They're clearly aiming for bigger things.
Yeah.
Especially given the explosive growth projected for the Indian e-commerce market. They're talking about expanding their product offerings and even moving into new markets.
And that's where things get really interesting. They're not just riding the wave. They're actively kind of paddling towards even bigger opportunities. They've got a new product called Uniship that promises to make delivery and returns on brands' own websites as seamless as shopping on like a massive marketplace. So imagine the potential there. They could really be revolutionizing that entire post-purchase experience.
Okay, that's big. So we've got a company that's already a major player in a rapidly growing market, and they're showing no signs of slowing down. But let's get down to the nitty-gritty. How did they actually perform in Q2 of fiscal year 2025?
Well, the reports tell a pretty compelling story. Their revenue grew by a solid 13% year over year, reaching 293.1 million rupees. That's significant growth, especially considering some of the economic headwinds that we've seen globally.
And their profit after tax jumped by an impressive 21.1% to 44.7 million rupees. That's not just growth. That's smart, profitable growth. And they added over 100 new enterprise clients during the quarter, including some big names like VIP Bags and Landmark Group. So they're clearly attracting some heavy hitters in the retail world.
And what stands out to me is that their success isn't just a result of a booming market. They're making strategic moves. They're investing in new products. They're focusing on operational efficiency. And they're building a strong client base. They're carving out their own path. And it's clearly paying off.
Yeah, but they're not without challenges. The investor presentation does acknowledge that the overall e-commerce market has been a bit soft lately, and that could potentially impact their short-term growth.
Right. Economic slowdowns can really ripple through the entire system, affect consumer spending and online sales. But, even with these challenges, Their strong financial performance
Yeah.
suggests that they're, well equipped to weather the storm.
Okay, so we've got a company that's performing well with a clear growth strategy, but operating in a market that is facing some uncertainty. So what does this all mean for someone who's trying to understand, the bigger picture of e-commerce and SaaS in India?
Well, what's fascinating here is that Unicommerce's story might be a microcosm of what's happening in the Indian tech scene as a whole. We're seeing Indian companies not just catering to the domestic market,
Okay.
but setting their sights on global domination. Could this be the beginning of a larger trend? That's the question we need to explore further. And it's not just about, global ambitions. What really caught my eye in the investor presentation was their focus on the dropshipping model. They're really positioning themselves as the go-to solution for businesses using this model, especially in a market that's, dominated by giants like Amazon.
Dropshipping, so that's where the retailer doesn't actually hold any inventory, right? They just take the order and pass it on to like a third party who ships it directly to the customer. But wouldn't that be like a logistical nightmare?
It can be, especially you scale. But that's where Unicommerce comes in. Their software is specifically designed to handle the complexities of dropshipping, everything from order management to inventory tracking, and coordinating with multiple suppliers.
So they're not just like simplifying e-commerce, they're making a complex business model like dropshipping more accessible, more manageable, especially for, smaller players who can't compete with Amazon's massive infrastructure.
Exactly. And remember that statistic from the presentation. They handled something like 20 to 25% of India's e-commerce dropshipping volume in 2023. That's a huge chunk of the market. They're essentially becoming the backbone of the dropshipping ecosystem in India.
That's a bold play. But it makes sense, given their existing expertise and the projected growth of the dropshipping model. If they can become like synonymous with dropshipping success, that's a really powerful market position to hold.
Now, let's not forget that they're also looking beyond their core offerings. The presentation mentions, complementary product offerings. What could those be? What would make sense for them to branch out into?
Well, if I were a betting person, I'd say areas like marketing automation or, customer relationship management, CRM, would be a natural fit. They're already so deeply embedded in the e-commerce workflow. So why not offer tools that help businesses attract and retain customers more effectively?
I think you're onto something. It's all about providing that comprehensive suite of tools that empowers e-commerce businesses to succeed. And from a financial perspective, diversification into these related areas makes a lot of sense. Opens up new revenue streams.
Yes.
And reduces their reliance on any single product or market segment.
Right. It's all about hedging your bets and staying ahead of the curve. And speaking of bets, the presentation mentions a total addressable market, TAM, of $260 million for their core products in 2023. But when you factor in those complementary offerings, the TAM jumps to a whopping $680 million.
Those are some eye-popping numbers. It speaks to the sheer scale of the opportunity that they're targeting. And remember, the indie key niche e-commerce market is still relatively young.
Yeah.
Compared to more mature markets, like the US or China. So there's the massive potential for growth there.
But as we discussed, the overall e-commerce market growth has been a bit sluggish lately, and yet Unicommerce is still managing to add new clients and grow their revenue at a healthy clip, so that's got to be a good sign.
Absolutely. It shows they're not just riding the wave of a booming market. They're creating their own momentum. They're demonstrating their ability to succeed, even when the broader economic environment gets a little bumpy.
And a lot of that success comes down to their relentless focus on operational efficiency, which is evident in their case studies. Remember that food and health supplement brand that saw an 80% drop in their SLA breach rate after implementing Unicommerce's solution?
That's a dramatic improvement. Now, highlights the tangible impact they're having on businesses. It's not just about, fancy software features. It's about real-world results that translate into increased revenue and customer satisfaction.
Yeah, they're not just selling software, they're selling peace of mind, knowing that your e-commerce operations are running smoothly and efficiently. And that's a compelling value proposition for businesses of all sizes, from startups to established players.
And it's not just about the big guys either. They have a significant number of small and medium-sized business clients, SMBs, over 2,692. compared to 904 enterprise clients. So their platform is designed to be scalable and adaptable, catering to a wide range of needs and budgets.
But acquiring clients is only half the battle. Retaining them is equally important, especially in the SaaS world. And Unicommerce seems to be doing a good job on that front, boasting a net revenue retention rate, NRR, of over 100%.
Yeah, that's a key metric.
Hmm.
For any SaaS company, it means that their existing customers aren't just sticking around, they're also spending more over time. So it speaks volumes about the value they're providing and their ability to build those long-term relationships with their clients.
They also emphasize, you know, customer centricity in their approach. They're actively engaging with their clients, seeking feedback, collaborating on new feature development. So it's not just a transactional relationship, it's a partnership.
And speaking of partnerships, let's talk about their new products, Uniship and Unireco. These are the ones I'm most excited about. They represent a significant expansion of their offerings and a potential game changer for the e-commerce industry.
Yeah, Unicommerce promises to revolutionize the delivery and returns experience for online shoppers, while Unireco tackles the headaches of reconciling payments and returns, particularly for businesses selling through multiple online marketplaces.
Yeah, these are pain points that so many e-commerce businesses struggle with. Uniship could really empower brands to offer that seamless post-purchase experience on their own websites, rivaling the likes of Amazon.
Imagine being able to return something that you bought online as easily as if you'd bought it from a physical store. That's the kind of experience that can really win over customers and build loyalty.
And Unireco could save businesses countless hours and headaches by automating that reconciliation process, identifying overcharges, and streamlining returns. It's about simplifying the financial side of e-commerce, giving businesses more visibility and control over their cash flow.
Both Unicommerce and Unireco are bold bets, but they're bets that could pay off handsomely if they succeed. They're really leveraging their existing expertise and customer relationships to create these new must-have products for e-commerce businesses.
And they're not just relying on their gut feeling. They've clearly done their homework. They're analyzing market trends, identifying gaps, and developing solutions that address real needs.
But even with the best laid plans, there are always challenges and risks to consider. The tech industry is fiercely competitive, and building a successful SaaS company requires attracting and retaining top talent.
Absolutely. And the investor presentation highlights, their experienced leadership team and their backing from prominent investors like SoftBank. So that should give them an edge in the talent war. But it's an ongoing challenge for any company in a fast-growing, innovation-driven industry.
And let's not forget about the evolving regulatory landscape in India. The e-commerce sector is subject to various regulations, and keeping up with the changes and ensuring compliance can be complex and demanding.
That's a crucial point. They'll need to navigate those regulations carefully, ensuring they're operating within the bounds of the law, while continuing to innovate and grow.
And then there's the ever-present threat of competition. The SaaS market is constantly evolving. New players are emerging all the time, so Unicommerce can't afford to rest on their laurels. They need to keep pushing the boundaries, innovating, and differentiating themselves.
From the past, it's a dynamic and challenging space, but they've shown that they're up for the challenge. And I think what's most impressive is that despite all the complexities and uncertainties, they're still laser-focused on simplifying e-commerce for their clients.
It's like they're saying, hey, we know this stuff is complicated, but we've got your back. And in a world where things are only getting more complex, that's a really powerful message.
And it's not just a message.
Yeah.
It's backed up by their actions.
Yeah.
Look at the sheer volume of transactions that they handle. 931 million annually. That's not just a number. It's a testament to their robust and scalable technology platform.
They're like the air traffic controllers of the e-commerce world, keeping everything moving smoothly and efficiently. And with their expansion into new product categories and potentially new geographic markets, that volume is only going to increase in the coming years.
And a key part of their ability to manage that complexity is their extensive network of integrations. They offer over 260 integrations with various marketplaces, web stores, logistics providers, ERPs, and POS systems. So they're essentially creating this unified ecosystem for e-commerce.
Yeah, it's all about eliminating silos and making it easier for businesses to connect the dots between all their different systems and processes. That's where true efficiency lies, and that's where Unicommerce really excels.
And it's reflected in their financial performance. They've been profitable for several years now, which is impressive. For a relatively young SaaS company, their net profit margin is a healthy 15.3%, indicating they're managing their costs effectively and pricing their services appropriately.
And they have a strong balance sheet with ample cash on hand, which puts them in a good position. For future growth and investment, they've also managed to maintain a low client concentration with their top 10 clients only accounting for 21.6% of their revenue in Q2 of fiscal year 2025.
That's a positive sign. It shows they're not overly reliant on any single customer, which can make a business vulnerable. It speaks to their diversified client base and their ability to attract and retain a wide range of businesses.
Now, let's zoom out for a moment and consider the broader Indian e-commerce market. Unicommerce's fate is ultimately tied to the growth and evolution of this really dynamic sector.
Right. The Indian e-commerce market is a force to be reckoned with. It's one of the fastest growing in the world, driven by factors like increasing internet penetration, rise in disposable incomes, and the convenience of online shopping. But it's also facing some headwinds.
We've already discussed, the recent slowdown in growth. Factors like economic uncertainty, global supply chain disruptions, and increased competition are all playing a role.
But despite these challenges, the long-term outlook for Indian e-commerce remains positive. The market is still vastly underpenetrated, and there's a huge untapped potential, especially in Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities.
And that's where Unicommerce's expansion plans come into play. They're strategically positioning themselves to capture a larger share of this growing market by expanding into new product categories and exploring international markets.
They're not just playing defense, they're going on offense. And that's what sets them apart. They're not content with just being a successful company in India. They want to be a global player.
And they're not just talking about it. They're taking concrete steps to make it happen.
Their story is a testament to the power of ambition, innovation, and execution. They have identified a need, developed solutions, and built a thriving business in a dynamic and challenging market.
But it all goes back to that core theme of simplifying e-commerce.
Yeah, it's their mantra, their guiding principle. They're not just building software, they're building a movement, a belief that e-commerce can be easier, more efficient, and more accessible for everyone. And in a world that's increasingly reliant on e-commerce, that's a powerful vision. It's about empowering businesses to thrive in a digital age. And it's about creating a more seamless and enjoyable experience for consumers.
So as we wrap up this part of our deep dive, let's turn our attention to the people behind this remarkable story. Who are the individuals driving this success? What are their backgrounds? And what are their hopes and dreams for the future of Unicommerce?
That's a great segue. Let's move on to part 3 and get to know the team that's making all this happen.
All right, so we've dug into the numbers and their strategy, and we've even uncovered their secret weapon, a passion for simplifying e-commerce. But who are the masterminds behind Unicommerce? Let's meet the team.
Well, the investor presentation actually gives us some really good insights into the leadership. So at the helm, we have Kapil Makaja, the managing director and CEO. His resume is impressive. Stints at A.T. Kearney, Oracle, and Quest Software. And get this, he's been with Unicommerce for over 9 years.
9 years. Wow, that's serious commitment. It's not just a job for him, it's a mission. And that kind of long-term vision at the top can be so valuable for a company, especially in a fast-paced industry like tech.
Absolutely. It suggests stability and a deep understanding of the company's DNA. And he's not alone. He's got a team of experienced executives flanking him, each bringing their own unique skills to the table.
Like Bhupinder Garg, the chief technology officer. He's got experience at Amazon and D.E. Shaw. Talk about some serious tech credentials. And then there's Anurag Mittal, the CFO, who's held, financial leadership roles at some major players, including 197 Communications, the parent company of Paytm.
It's a team that combines industry experience, technical expertise, and financial savvy. And from their commentary, in the investor presentation and the financial reports, they seem genuinely optimistic about Unicommerce's future. They're not just saying the right things. They believe it.
Yeah, and they've got every reason to be optimistic. They're leading a company that's not only performing well, but also innovating and pushing the boundaries in a really dynamic market. But it's not JST about the numbers.
Right.
Unicommerce seems to have a real commitment to their employees and to creating a positive work environment.
That's a crucial point. Happy employees often translate
to happy customers.
And satisfied customers are the lifeblood of any successful business. The investor presentation highlights their focus on employee development and their efforts to create a culture of collaboration and innovation.
It's not just about attracting top talent. It's about retaining them and creating an environment where they can really thrive and do their best work. And speaking of doing great work, we can't forget those glowing testimonials from some of Unicommerce's clients that are featured in the investor presentation.
Yeah, those testimonials add a layer of authenticity to their story. It's one thing to hear a company tout its own successes, but it's far more compelling to hear it directly from the businesses they're serving. These are real companies with real challenges, and they're attributing their success, at least in part, to Unicommerce's solutions.
It's proof that they're not just selling software, they're selling results, and that's what ultimately matters in the business world. So as we wrap up our deep dive into Unicommerce, we've uncovered a pretty compelling narrative, a company with a clear vision, a strong team, and a proven track record of success.
We've explored their financials, their technology, their strategy, and even met the people behind the scenes. But beyond all the data points and the technical details, there's a bigger story here. It's a story about the transformative power of technology and its impact on the way we do business.
Unicommerce is a prime example of how technology is reshaping the e-commerce landscape, making it easier for businesses to reach new customers, manage their operations efficiently, and ultimately thrive in this increasingly digital world. And as we move further into the 21st century, this trend is only going to accelerate.
E-commerce is no longer just a niche market. It's the future of commerce. And companies like Unicommerce are playing a pivotal role in shaping that future. They're the enablers, the architects of a more seamless, efficient, and accessible online marketplace.
So as we conclude our deep dive, the question we'll leave you with is this: will Unicommerce become the next global SaaS success story? Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure, they're a company to watch. A company that's pushing the boundaries and redefining what's possible in the world of e-commerce.
Absolutely. And we'll be here on the deep dive, tracking their progress and bringing you the insights you need to stay ahead of the curve. Thanks for joining us on this journey of discovery. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep diving deep